Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coast Football Weekly. This week's guest is the one and only McAndrew. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Now, as we can see, you're in Rams gear for 2026. How's life at the Rams treating you?
Yeah, look, it's a new squad and we're developing new ways to play, but it's a slow work in progress, but hopefully Ackers and the boys keep moving forward and we get there.
Yeah, now sitting in third, I believe. So I think promotion's looking pretty likely for Avoca. He's just hoping to get into that playoff final series at the end of the year and try to push for NPL.
We're hoping to make the semis, and then once we get into the semis, anything goes, as you know yourself. Avoca have been the best team all year, and they really deserve to go up, so kudos to them.
Good start to the year for you. It went viral on our social media pages, your free kick in front of the hill on a Saturday night at Hilton Moor. Talk us through that goal and what it meant to get that win in your first game.
Yeah, look, it was good for the club. It's the first year back in the men's setup, and it was good to get a win because we had all the old boys there watching, and it was a big crowd. Plus, I think old mate did around the grounds that day.
Yep.
At East Gosford, which was good. As for the free kick, you hit one of them every now and then, and it just came off sweetly, and I still think it's probably one of the best goals I've scored, so I was pretty happy with it.
I was going to say, it's got to be up there, right? And to get it on, there was multiple angles of it. It's got to watch that back. You feel good?
Yeah, it was good. Look, I was very happy with how it struck and where it went in the goal, but the main thing was getting the points and getting off to the season because the build-up for the year was around Doyles and East Gosford being the big two, you know what I mean? But Avoca have laid that to bed for us. Yep. But, to start the season like that, it was really good.
How's it been for you personally, sort of stepping away from coaching this year and working under Ackers, who you've had some battles with in the past?
Look, Ackers is a great coach. His reputation speaks for itself, what he done at Kalani. But for me personally, it's been great. I don't have to worry about session planning, chasing players, being there all the time, and the commitment involved in it. Anyone that's coached grade understands that I don't think a lot of the coaches are paid what they actually are deserved because there's a lot behind it that no one sees. For me, for example, at Wyoming, I used to mow the field sometimes because it was too wet for the council to get a mower on there, but they couldn't push mow it. So I had to go out there at the end of the day on a Saturday and mow the oval so we could play on it in a decent grass. And Scott used to help me with that as well. So that's things that no one sees coaches do. And I think, it's something that we shouldn't have to do. But you do it for your players, you know what I mean?
Do it for your club, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to show up and not have to worry about any of that this year.
Oh, 100%. No selection issues, no nothing. No worrying if the boys have been on the piss, anything like that. You just worry up, you play, you have a shower, you go home. Yeah, it's been great.
Talk us through where sort of footy started for you. You're born and bred in Gosford. Footy from under fives or?
It was under sevens for me when I started, but obviously I've got two older brothers that I always used to love playing against, and they love kicking the shit out of me, really. So it was a good childhood for me, but I started my journey at under sevens at Wyoming and then went through to under 10s and then went to Coasties and Lakers after that.
What was it like going through that representative program at that age?
It was good. Like, it's something that I think the Coast needs again, and I know CCU are trying to start that pathway, but I think a lot of players' development in that lower age group, the likes of Brady Smith, James Holland, Ollie Bozanic, they all went through the Coast pathway. They all played representative football of a young age, even Andrew Redmayne. And look where they've gone on to play. You know, all of them have made the A-League. Some of them have gone on to play in England, like Ollie. James went to Asia and played, and also played for the Socceroos, and same with Redders. So, you know, that pathway for young kids to play rep football is important on the Coast.
At that age, did you have any sort of ambitions of playing professionally, or were you just happy kicking a ball around with your mates?
Look, back then it was the NSL when I played, so it was always tough to get into because we had nothing on the Coast. All you really wanted to do was either play local first grade and play against the boys you watched every weekend and wanted to be one of them, or play Coasties first grade.
Yep.
You know, that was the aim when you were young, and if you could move on further past that, then you would. So that's pretty much what I aim to do, and I was lucky enough to do it at such a young age, so it was good.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you did play for the Mariners. I think it was one game against the Wellington. How did that opportunity come about? Was that just through the representative program?
I was lucky enough to be playing Wyoming first grade and then went to Coasties with John McClafferty, and I was playing coasties, I think, and a spot came available because I think James Holland or Ollie took another path.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they brought in trialists, and I went in and trialled, and I'd been in training before with them previously, and I got the nod. So it was lucky,
Mm-hmm.
but you need a bit of luck in football.
What do you remember about going into that sort of setup? What was the squad back in those days?
A lot of the players were really good. Like, I still think it's the best team to play for the Mariners.
Yep.
If you look at the players we had and what they've gone on to do, or where they came back, like, at the end of the year, we had Tony Vidmar, who's a Rangers legend,
Yep.
played everywhere across Europe and is one of the most capped Socceroos. Plus, we had Aloisi come back from Italy. You know, we had big name players, and then we had up-and-coming players coming through, like the likes of Brad Porter. Matt Simons went on to do great things. Vuko was only young too, I think. I think he was around 20, 22 when I played, and he went on to play for Sydney FC.
Yep.
I think he went to Asia. And he also played for the Socceroos. So, you know, there was a lot of talented players in that squad.
Yeah, I mean, I've had Laurie on here and even Matt Simon, and you go back and look at those squad lists, and it's like you almost forget like the amount of good players, or the even just like having Aloisi come in. Like, it's unbelievable to think that they played for the Mariners and they were very successful. Like, the Mariners were one of the top teams back then.
Yeah, it was nuts with the players that we had and how they were able to get them on the money that they probably paid them, because it wouldn't have been great compared to other clubs. So that you got to give a little bit of credit to Laurie there with what he did. I think what really helped the Mariners when I was there was having the likes of Alex Tobin and Ian Ferguson really being the brains behind the operation.
Yeah.
Like, you got one of the best players to ever put on a Rangers shirt who played in their 9 in the row team. Ferguson, again, another one of the most capped Socceroos. Just to have their knowledge at the side of the pitch, and every player that plays, like, sort of downplays an assistant coach and stuff like that. But anything those two said to me, I was a sponge, you know what I mean? And same with Vidmar. Like, I picked up a lot of stuff from experienced players. It was really good to be around, you know what I mean? It was a great experience.
Yeah, how old were you at that age? Because you went into first grade at Wyoming at quite a young age, I believe.
Yeah, so I was, I think, either 15 or 16 when I played with Wyoming. And when I played for the Mariners, I just turned 18.
Yeah.
So it was, and I'd never really been in a setup like that. Like, as much as you played coasties and local league football, and you're like, oh, this is pretty intense.
Yeah.
The step up from where I was.
Yeah, the standards, everything.
Was crazy. And I think that's got a lot less now for players taking that next step. Probably through academies, like having the Mariners academies from 12s to 18s. They're getting used to it. But when I stepped up, there was, the pathway really just wasn't there. It was more like, great, you made it, good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd say this, Laurie relied on a lot of older heads, and to tell you the truth, I probably would have too in that team, because they were established NSL players or established players in the league. And the year I played, we went on to win the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, we lost the grand final, but I think we went on a run of like something like 10 or 11 games undefeated. You're not really changing much there, are you? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Especially with how fickle it is being a coach in that at that level.
What do you remember about your one cap for the Mariners?
Oh, it was one of those things. I think the whole bench when I played was injured.
Yeah.
It was just about who we could put on that wasn't as injured, and I was carrying tendonitis in my hamstring, and I think Quaz was the other sub that went on, and he went on before me because I think Clarkey was either under the weather when we played or something happened to Clarkey, so it was either me or Quaz, and I think they just went with experience, you know what I mean? And fair play to them too. I would have done the same thing. I think I got a minute, but, you know, it's a minute better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, and it was a nice little win bono for me too, because we ended up winning the game. So it was good.
Yeah, good one to look back on and remember.
Yeah, look, it's nothing to write home about. There's obviously a lot of people who have done more than me in the sport on the coast. Like, Ollie's the same age as me, and that bloke's gone on to do great things.
Yeah.
Same with Redders too, but it's something no one can take away from me, and I'm happy I got there, you know what I mean? The hardest thing to do in football is to get to where you want to get to. And when the Mariners came about, being a professional footballer was like, and I was young enough, and they were like, what do you think? And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. And I was lucky enough to get there, but there's a lot of people that don't. So, and everywhere I play, I get given shit about it, and they're telling me, "Oh, you're a has-been, this and that," and it's great. Like I love getting sledged on the sideline.
Yeah.
I've copped it ever since I've come back from Sydney after playing, and
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change it. But yeah, all the people that say that to me, I'm just like, well, I got there, you didn't.
And you're one to give it back too. So.
100%. There was a bloke who abused me at the entrance on the weekend, and I gave it back to him straight away. So it's a bit of fun. There's no hatred in it, and at the end of it, you know, I'll have a beer with a bloke who sledges me and calls me anything under the sun, because what happens on a football field should stay there, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, if it was at Pat Morley, I'm pretty sure I could. I know exactly who it is. So
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think Ollie was giving me a bit of cheek in the corner too,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah,
funny
yeah.
because I know Ollie.
Progressing on from the Mariners, you represented the country, Australia, in futsal. I played with players like Tommy Rodgick. How was that experience? I think it was for the Asian Cup. I believe.
Yeah, it was for the Asian Cup. Yeah, I got to go to Uzbekistan, which was
Yep.
an experience, and it's probably one of the best countries I've been to.
Yep.
Has a lot of history about it, and a lot of architecture and stuff. And anyone that wants to go there, give it a shot, because it's really good. But on the sports side of things, yeah, it was eye opening to see how much Asia actually loves futsal and how they develop players compared to how we do as a country.
Yeah.
Like, we underestimate how good futsal is for the development of players. Like, I was lucky enough to play the sport from, I think, about 14 until I eventually went into men's, and was lucky enough to go to an Asian Cup. But I don't think Australia utilises the sport well enough, because what it gives players is ability on the ball, to play in tight spaces, to move the ball quickly, and to play under pressure.
Yeah.
And if you look at us when we go worldwide and we go play against other countries, we lack that. We lack that and the quality in it. There was just a 9-year-old signed by Nike from a futsal tournament in Brazil.
Yeah, wow.
Like, if you're seeing that they're signing those players, why aren't we using this sport and making this sport bigger? And you look at Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, they all came through being signed from playing futsal.
Yeah.
You know, that's where their first professional contract came from. It wasn't, they were outdoor players and stuff like that. And they're some of the best players to touch a ball. So I don't think we use the sport well enough.
Yep.
Tommy Rodgick's another one. I don't think he played outdoor until he was 16.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Like, he was a futsal-based player and did well, and he went on to play for Celtic.
Yeah, wow, and did really well there.
Exactly right. And I think when I went to the Asian Cup, he would have been 15 or 16 in the team we were.
Yeah.
And he scored his first goal there, which, you know, it was great for him. And it just catapulted him onto bigger and better things. And I think the bigger people that are involved in soccer in the FFA and other organisations need to actually have a look at it and see what the sport can do for football and developing our players a lot better.
Did you have much success over there? How'd you go as a whole?
We made the quarterfinals and got knocked out by Uzbekistan, who went on to make the final.
Yeah.
And they lost to Iran, who they were world class. I think when I played, they were third best team in the world.
Yeah. Wow.
And they had the leading goal scorer of international futsal.
Yeah.
So they were just another level. But, you know, we played a preseason tournament in Thailand against the Thais, and they were 7th in the world. And that was eye-opening. Like, they just moved the ball really sharp, and just the skill level was unbelievable compared to what we were doing. But our biggest problem is every futsal team that goes away for Australia, they're all part-timers.
Yeah.
And the FFA don't put the money in to actually make it a full-time sport, because if they were, we would do really well, because we punched above our level for what we were playing against there. So I think it's something that the FFA and probably Football New South Wales and stuff need to get together and actually start to promote the sport better and get more juniors into it, because it develops a player a lot better. And without futsal, I don't think I would have been the player I was.
Yeah, interesting. Were you playing outdoor during that stage at all? Or was it you mainly focused on futsal during that time?
I was playing outdoor. I played. That's when I'd left the Mariners that year.
Yep.
I went down to Sydney. I trialled for Sydney Olympic, and I made Sydney Olympic. But then one of my mates' dads was the assistant coach at Mount Pritchard, and he asked me to come in there and play under them, and I did.
Yep.
And we went through a run that was unbelievable from an NPL2 team. We made the Waratah Cup final, and I think we only lost 2 games that year, which was one game against Schofields.
Yeah.
And then we lost Waratah Cup final to Manly,
Yeah, right.
who were 7th or 8th in the Premier League. But that year we knocked off the top 4 on the run to the final.
Okay, what teams were they back then?
We knocked off Sydney Olympic, who I was going to play for, Blacktown Spartans, Sydney United, and then there was one other.
Yeah.
I can't remember who that was, but we had a pretty easy run until they had to do the draw live. But then we went on a run and we did pretty well, so it was good. Yeah. It was good to beat Sydney Olympic because obviously that was a team that I turned down playing for.
Yeah, were you at Mounties for quite some time?
I played 3 seasons at Mounties.
Yep.
And then came back to the coast after that.
Obviously Waratah Cup final, but do you have any fond memories of that time at the Mounties?
Yeah, Mounties was good. Like I was lucky enough to play with Daniel Severino there. One of my best mates growing up, Mark Symington, played there, and it was another reason why I went and played. Just to play with friends that love football and to move forward. They signed Mark D'Alessandro from Marconi, who played in the NSL. So we had a really good team. We were quick, we were young, and we were very direct, but we played good football. And if you've ever seen Daniel Severino play, his dead ball is pretty special.
Yeah.
So he got us a lot of goals doing that. Playing with him would have been one of the highlights, but just the time there, the club really spent money, the club looked after us, and, it made it easy for us, you know what I mean? And they did everything. Like if you were injured, there's a physio at training for you. Back in those days, you were lucky to get that. But there was a physio in the actual club, and they were down at training, rubbing us out, doing everything they needed to try and make it as professional as possible. So it was good fun.
Makes a big difference.
100%.
Yeah. What was it like going from only having to play locally on the Central Coast and then going into sort of a Sydney setup, like where it's very different culturally? Were you shocked at all by what you come across? No,
it wasn't so much the shock value. It was just the fact that, your commitment needed to be there. Like on the coast, people and players' commitments just, especially local league, it's like, it's a hobby. We're doing it for fun. Yeah, we want to be competitive. Yeah, we want to win. But when you're down there, you're getting paid really good money. You have to be there. You got to be there for Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you got to turn up. And then if they wanted to do a video session or they wanted to do extra training, you had to go there. And for me, it was lucky. I was an apprentice, so I was working in Sydney, so the travel wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I'd get up early in the morning, drive down. I'd work in Sydney, then I'd drive to training. I'd get to go into the ground because they'd open it early for me because they knew I was coming from work. I'd have a nap in the car, and then someone would rock up, either the trainer, whatever, and they'd knock on the window, and I'd wake up and out I'd pop, and then ready to train.
Yeah, big days would have been for you.
Yeah, it was almost 10, 11-hour days for me, but the sleep in the middle helped a little bit, so it was good.
Little nanny nap.
Yeah, 100%.
And then once you finished up at Mounties, you went to Gosford. Was that the next step in your career?
Yeah, I went to Gosford because my 2 brothers were playing at Gosford. And it was something that I wanted to do, play grade with my brothers.
Yep.
We got 1 game at Wyoming to play grade, which was good, and we beat the entrance.
Yep.
And that's when you had your stack team. And we knocked them off, which was good, but I think that's the only time 3 brothers have played on the coast in first grade ever. So that's probably one of my best moments in football, to play first grade with my brothers.
Yep.
And then my brother was already playing there, Neil. And he just said, why don't you come play at Gosford? And I did, and that was sort of encouraged by one of the players who helped me out a bit funding-wise to come back and play.
Yep.
So that saved me travelling down there, and I got a little bit of money for it too, so it was good.
When did you take over as a player coach? What year did that happen?
It was the second year, I think. We got promoted, and then me and Tim Cohen took over as joint coaches, and he sort of ran things and did what he needed to do that year, and I sort of played.
Yep.
And then the year after is when I took over fully.
Was it easier or harder than you thought, having to manage coaching and playing at the same time?
Look, with the team I had, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I was lucky when I coached at Gosford, and anyone that's coached a good team in this league, you don't have to do a lot of coaching. Like, you're putting out a good team that can go out and play football. Anyone that tells you otherwise, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
And they controlled themselves, you know what I mean? If we weren't performing, it was them that stood up at the change room and told everyone about it, and they held their own standards.
Yep.
All I had to do was put together formations, training nights, what we needed to do and stuff like that. But, yeah, I was lucky. I had a very talented team at Gosford.
Was coaching something you always thought you'd lean into?
No, I just sort of fell into it at Gosford, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I aim to do. And then I got lucky that when I took over, we were all mates and we all wanted to play together and we were all young, about 25. A lot of us were still single and just in the party mode, and we were all together. So Tuesday, Thursday and a Sunday, you know, that was fun for us, you know what I mean? So it was just perfect timing.
Yeah.
And I think our second grade probably would have finished in the top 4 in first grade that year. We had some second grade team when I coached at Gosford. But, yeah, they held their own standards. I didn't really have to do much. It was about just setting out sessions so they actually felt like they were getting something out of it. That was my biggest problem when I coached at Gosford.
Yep.
On game day, I could give them tactics. They'd stick to it. They stick to the shape and how we wanted to press and how we wanted to defend. They'd do that. But, you know, I didn't need to tell them how to attack because they were just good players.
Yeah, so I think it was 2015, you were league champions. I'm surprised this story hasn't come up yet already. Final day of the year, Gosford versus the Entrants at Gavenlock. You were sweeping the goal mouse to get the game played.
That's correct.
And then why don't you just tell everyone the goal that decided that league?
Well, yeah, that's probably one of my best memories in local football, actually, because I ran away from you, I do believe, wasn't it?
Yep, a 17-year-old me.
Yeah, it was a foot race. I would think I was, the last year I coached at Gosford, I think I was 29 maybe.
Yep.
And it was a foot race. It was a muddy track, very wet. I don't think anyone would have played football on it this day and age.
No.
But they were the good old days. And, we were in a foot race, and I think if it was a dry field, it probably would have rolled to Sheeny, but it held up and I got away from you, and then Sheeny came out, and I just snuck a toe underneath him, and it hit the post and went in.
Yeah.
So it's the first time Gosford's ever won the league, and it's a big achievement of mine just to do that for that club and to do it with my mates, really. So I was pretty happy about it, and I don't think I've ever let you forget it.
No, I think I hear it constantly every year.
Well, that's good. Just got to remind you.
I mean, I think I put it at the back of my mind, but you constantly bring it to the front.
You're lucky there's no VO because it'd be embarrassing for you.
Back in those days, I would have deleted that off the face of the internet. Just to even talk about the team you had, I mean, I've played with a few of those players, the Tubes, the Woodbines, the Howes, like just so good, right? Just a very good team all across the park.
Yeah, look, we were very lucky. Like, I managed to get Tommy Coventry in from Wyoming, who I've known since I've been really young, and Adam Parkinson was my other keeper there, who was really good. And building a team, if you don't have a really good goalkeeper, it doesn't matter who you have on the field, you're gonna struggle. And I was lucky to have 2 really good goalkeepers when I was at Gosford. Like you said, with Tupi, Woody, Geordie, Matty Hall, all those players, even Craig Wazowski.
Yeah,
he was my first signing, and I believe he's still got the fastest goal in Central Coast football history.
Okay,
from a kickoff, and you know, like he's probably an undersung player that doesn't get talked about. But again, we were all just mates. Like growing up, when we were 15 to probably about 21, you would have found all of us in Graham Toop's lounge room. You know, having fun, drinking before we went out together. And that's why we all played together, because we were mates. And that's what makes the best teams, in my opinion, in local football.
And then there was a return to Wyoming. What was the decision behind that? Why was the timing right? Talk us through that decision.
That one came. I obviously went to CCU and played a year up here with Stu Davis as the coach. And then obviously just playing at that level and chasing younger people, I knew my time was there. You know what I mean? It's a young man's game, rep football, and it was my time to move away from there. And then I went back to Wyoming because Scott Snodgrass, who's now their current coach, was actually the football manager or the president there, and he just sat me down and asked and said, "What do you reckon?" I said, "Yeah, look, I'd be open to it. Let me have a think about it." And I went back and said, "Yep, happy to do it." And then we started plotting how we can build a team that can compete, because they'd just come up from Division 1. And I think we competed really, really well. I think we were 3 points off winning the league that year. And I go back to the game that we lost that year against Wangara at home when we were 2-0 up after 20 minutes. Probably cost us the season.
Yeah.
But like I did manage to get a few boys over from Gosford, which is always, I always get reminded by that.
Yeah.
But, bringing those players across and amalgamating them with the players Wyoming had, we were a real force that year.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah, well, didn't mean to skim over the time at CCU. Why, you talked about playing representative football. Why did you want to go back into that sort of rep setup at that time?
Look, I think Hef was a big draw card for me. When I said yes to it, he was going to be the coach. And then obviously some tragedy hit that year, which was sad. And things had to be rearranged and changed around. And then Stu ended up taking over the men's program, which was fine. But yeah, like Hef really drew me back to it and said, look, I want you to come in and play. And I was like, yep, I'm part of that. And I liked Hef at my time at the Mariners. Like, he was one of the senior players that always looked after young kids, always put their arm around them, invited them places. So I was like,
top guy.
Yeah, you were a good guy to me when I was younger. I'm happy to come in and help. You know what I mean? So I did that. And it was good, like good bunch of kids that came through. Like, you're a lot younger than me. Mac is a lot younger than me. Daniel McFarlane, who's a class player, and he's gone on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
But then you still had some old people like Tupy, Scotty McGinley was playing.
Yeah.
So there was a mixture of youth and experience there, which was good.
And all Coasties were all wanting to play for the Coast. It was, I think, the first year. I mean, I'm biased too, but I think it was the best year.
I don't think any CCU team would beat our first year CCU team. Like, the talent we had in that team was, it was pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, we even have Hef play some games.
Yeah.
Crowley was, when he was fit and didn't retire 40 times by then. So yeah,
he's still coming back and retiring now.
There's never quitting for him. But yeah, I think just that first year, I think it was almost the perfect storm. Besides the end goal of that promotion, right? That was a bit heartbreaking.
It was, but I think you just went on to win the grand final, so that sort of eased that a little bit. And then next year, you just got promoted anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then obviously you guys aged out and then they had to rebuild, which was unfortunate, but that's just how football goes. It doesn't wait around for anyone, does it?
No, it doesn't. And then, back at Wyoming, pretty successful first few years, and then sort of talk us through where the club went from there. Yeah,
so like the first couple of years were really good. We recruited well. We had a strong squad. We finished third that year, ended up losing the semis to Southern, which was fine. And then I lost a few players. Some players went to all age. Other players moved up north. Out of my top four, I think 4 of them were in the top 5 goal scorers that year.
Yep.
And then I lost 2 of them.
Yep.
And that hurts. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to replace goals, and it's the hardest thing in football to replace. Then I had to, Macca was a 9 for me and a wide player.
Yeah.
And as he's got older, I've had to drop him back further down the field.
Yeah.
And now he's a centre back. And then we just obviously, players move on, change, come back. And when we went down, we had a lot of young players playing. You know what I mean? Like, I had Connor Fitzpatrick playing at 17 in first grade. Now he's playing for Berkeley Vale, who have won premierships, pre-season cups, and he's one of the premier attackers in the league.
He is.
Jack Jenkins was another. He was playing centre back for me at 17, and now he's playing for Southern. Like, they've gone on to bigger and better things, and credit to the kids, but that hurt us a lot.
Yep.
And we just couldn't fill those spots. And then we went down, and then I still had a couple of years on my contract, or a year left on my contract.
Yeah.
I wanted us to come up, and I'd been there for 6 years, and I told them halfway through Division 1, that's me done. Just got to...
No matter what,
move on and see where it goes from there. And look, they've moved on with Scott, and he's moved things forward, and they're doing well, and it looks like they're going to be safe this year, which is great. It's great for the club. Like,
they're coming off some great results.
I always like Wyoming to do well. It's where I started my football. It's always going to be my home club no matter what happens. So I never want to see them do bad. Being
part of the club, your local club, your junior club, and seeing them go down, then getting them back up, where does that rank in obviously your coaching career? Is it up there?
Well, going down was pretty low, but coming back up was really good. Like, it was a lot of young players who hadn't really played how I wanted to play that year. there was a few players that didn't want to play the style I wanted to play, which was fine. Yeah. And there's always those headaches as a coach. But eventually they started to understand why we were playing that way, and they built into it. And the one thing I'd say is we played football that year. Like when you play in Division 1, a lot of it's about results and stuff like that. But I wanted to play football. I wanted to play with a press. So when they went to the side that I thought was their weakest, we would press and we would go and get them. And then when we had the ball, I wanted to hold it and I wanted to make teams work to try and get it back. And if you can do that in Division 1, you're successful. Yeah. Like Ourimbah were the team that won it that year, and they deserved to win it. But did they play the football that we played? I wouldn't suggest that they did. You know what I mean? They were approached direct sometimes, and then they played sometimes, but it was a little bit sloppy and quick at sometimes, whereas we had a formation and a formula how we wanted to play, and that's what I sort of stood by when I coached. Like I never wanted to be that long ball coach that said we just knock it in behind,
turn them around.
Yeah, it didn't sit right with me. Playing football and holding the ball and trying to score goals is pretty much the aim of the sport.
Yeah, especially if you got a young team, right? You want those young players to grow up playing a good style of football, or basically learning how to play, because a lot of them might not have had that coaching or that level of coaching before. So I think it is important to sort of, when they are coming into the first grade or grade as a whole, to set them up correctly for what's to come for their careers, whether they go on with anything or not. So
yeah, you're right there. I think development on the coast, since we've lost coasties and now CCU have filled that void, the development of young players has gone backwards. Hopefully CCU can fill that void and bring a rep pathway to the coast, because the coast needs it. Like we've got a lot of young juniors, we've got a lot of registered members that play football.
And a lot of talent.
100%. And they need somewhere to go to play at a higher level than local clubs. Like that was the aim of every young kid that played young. They wanted to go play coasties. Yeah. We need kids wanting to go play rep football, because it's only going to make our brand at NPL a lot better in future years. And I think that's slowed down because players are now playing a lot more club football than representative football.
And your decision to sort of step away from Wyoming, whether you got promoted or not, thought you would be done with coaching then, or were you just looking for a new challenge? Because ultimately you did end up at Ourimbah the following year.
No, it's just they needed another voice. Yeah, you can coach for a long time and your words become stale. It doesn't matter what you do, and even if some of the boys love you and some of the boys hate you, it's the same message from the same person, and sometimes you need a different person to deliver a message. And I thought my time was right. I think if I wanted to go round again, I probably could have got the job at Wyoming again. But, you know, Scott had been my assistant for 2 or 3 years and had been involved in the squad. He was the ready successor, and, you know, he's doing great things there now.
And how did the Ourimbah move come about?
Yeah, I got approached by their old coach, Andy, and also Cameron. Yep. And they just said that they were stepping down. Did I want to come in and do that? I was like, yeah, look, I'll sit down and have a chat and see how we go. So I did. Yep. And yeah, we went from there and we were sitting 5th. So it was good until I was let go.
Yeah. So I think your last game was a victory against Berkeley Vale.
Yeah.
Obviously, what happened. When you look at Ourimbah now, what do you make of your time there?
Look, I was happy with what we were building as the Premier League squad. They had a lot of good players. The one thing that they always gave was energy and effort, and they all worked hard. I think they had the best keeper in the league, which helps a lot. Like I said, you can't build a team without a keeper. Yep. And Kyle was the keeper, and you know he kept us in a lot of games that other keepers in the league wouldn't have saved shots and stuff like that. So I've got to give Kyle credit where he deserves it. JB doesn't get a lot of credit at Ourimbah. Like, he does a lot of work.
He's a bulldog.
100%. Like, I reckon he would be the hardest running midfielder in the league. And if coaches just used him right, I think you'd get a lot out of him. And I think he's actually got a lot more to offer than what people think. And he was one of our success stories, because without him, I honestly don't think we would have been where we were. Like, he did a lot of running for me in the middle of the park. Yeah. And I mean a lot.
Yeah. And he's not afraid to get stuck in. He was the same when he come through as the entrance as a youngster. Like, you could tell he was, not afraid to put his body into a challenge.
Yeah, and he stood up in a lot of games. Like, I reckon I did half a person's running and he did 1.5. And that's why we were successful. Like, he worked really hard. And then I had Noah and Will up top and Lockie Cromer, who, hurt teams, and they were quick and speedy. And again, I had to change how we played because we didn't have the players I wanted to actually play the football I wanted. And we were a little bit more direct with our speed out wide. But that was a strength, and that's what we used. And, we got some results that year. Like Southern, we had them on the back foot at their home ground at James Brown. They were 2-0 up.
Yep.
And Lepre scored 2 bombs.
Yep, as he does.
Yeah, and one was with his right foot, which doesn't happen that often.
That's unheard of, actually.
Yeah, it was a screamer too. Probably one of the best he scored. And then we went on to change how we played, and we went at them, and then we scored a goal. And in the last 10 minutes, they were just kicking it long.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the 2 team sheets, you wouldn't suggest Southern would be doing that. But those boys gave me everything, so I can't hold anything that happened there against them.
You're obviously not coaching grade this year, but I believe CCU, the futsal coach. How's that all going?
Yeah, look, it's a slow burn there, but we just want to create a pathway for the sport, and it's something that I'm passionate about. And like I said previously, it's helped me be the player I was.
Yep.
And if I can help other players maybe get to the success that I got to go away for Australia, that's my aim. Like, I want someone from the Central Coast to actually do what I did, to understand the enjoyment of it and to understand what the sport can do and make you better. And I just don't think that people see that in Australia, which is sad, but that's the honest truth.
Yeah. Do you think you're done with coaching with first grade, or for now you're just happy being a player, rocking up to games?
Look, it'd have to take something special to get me back to coach local league again. I think you got to know when your time's up.
Yep.
And I think I'm very old school when I coach. Like, you've got to stick to the structure, the system, and how you play. And I don't think there's a lot of kids that like that anymore.
Yep.
And that's fine, and that's how it goes. But
times have changed.
Yeah, but I want to try and develop the futsal program at CCU, try and get kids in there playing and understanding the sport. And if we can get that up and running and doing well, then, I can then leave that into somebody else's hands, and, I can slip away into the sunset because, as I said, football doesn't wait for anyone. Everyone gets old, and then, you got to know when it's time for you to move on and step aside. And
playing days, are they going to keep going?
Oh, look, I think maybe I've got 1 or 2 years left, if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. This year might be the end for me. I don't know. Everyone's getting younger and quicker, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
When the ball's at my feet, I still think I can match it with most people that I play against. I've still got that out ball that puts us in good positions. But again, the players we're playing against are younger, quicker, fitter, and they're the next generation. They're the ones that need time on the park and need time to play. So we'll just see where it stands at the end of the year. I'm going to play 1 more year at futsal as player coach.
Yep.
And then stop playing there. So we've recruited pretty well this year for the men's team and the youth team. So hopefully we start to move up the table and we have a better year than we did last year.
As someone who has been around the local league since you were 15, 16, made your debut, how do you think the league has changed since then? I mean, in recent years, there's a lot more talk of like the pay point system. There's a lot of rumours going around about player payments.
Well, there's no rumours. People are getting paid. Let's not sugarcoat that.
As someone who's been a coach and a player, how have you found the changes to the competition?
Look, I think the game's got quicker. I don't think the quality's got better. I still put the team when I played at Wyoming when I was 15, 16 as probably the best team I played in. And then I would put the Killarney, your entrance team that beat us in the grand final, and my Gosford team, the next best. And I think those teams would beat anything that's out there today, player-wise. If you look at the players if you look at players from both teams in those eras, the quality is just better than what's there at the moment.
Yep.
And again, I think that's a lot to do with the pathway coming through from juniors to now, we don't have that rep program that players are going to play for and then come back to clubs afterwards. Like, I didn't see a club team until I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing rep football and playing against Marconi's and
Yeah.
Sydney Uniteds, and they were some of the best players
Yeah, that's right.
in New South Wales, and
Building
that made
experience.
that made me better.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that at the moment. CCU were trying to create that, but I think there's a lot of withholding from club players going to play there, and I don't know what the problem is there and why that occurs. But if we have a good rep program here, that's only going to make our footballers better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was the 2006 team I played in it for Wyoming. They had Fauzo, who just come back from playing Central Coast Coasties, was playing NPL 1 with Daniel Surridge. You had Marcus Steele, who'd just come back from Sydney Olympic and in Sydney, like their players coming back, bringing experience back to players on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
I still think, and they were playing against the likes of Matt Simons, who went on to play for the Mariners Australia.
Sydney,
he played in South Korea, I think it was. They were the types of players we had playing there. Now, you look, yes, Lepre's a great player, Elwood's a great player, Swato's a great player. He's getting a bit long in the tooth, but he was a great player when he was
still
younger.
banged him into his credit.
That's true, but, you're not seeing the quality that was in 2006. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there are good players now, and I'm not saying there's not, but, like, playing across the 3 eras, like the 20 years that I've played grade, I would say the first 5 to 6 years were the best players that I'd played with.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next lot would have been the Kalani, your team at the entrance, and my Gosford team.
Yeah, so you're just saying there's obviously still quality players, but there's just less of them.
Yeah, I just think the development of the players isn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
And that lacks in the standard of football. That's my opinion. I'm not right. I might not be right, but that's how I see it. And I'd say me and maybe two others are the only players that have played probably 20 years in grade at the moment.
Yeah.
And I would still go, but like, you look at the minor team, they had Dave Brewer, Frenchie. They had some bloke who just ran up and down the left-hand side for fun, but he had a left foot that could hit a pin drop. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he was class.
Yeah.
There's just nothing like that compared to then to now, in my opinion.
Back in the day, obviously, because I wasn't around when you were, was there a lot of people travelling to Sydney and Newcastle like we get these days? Because obviously, as someone who plays in Newcastle, there's a lot of coasties who do that travel, whether it's because the contract's up there or because they want to play at a high level. Was there a lot of that back then, or was it just sort of if you didn't play reps, you would come back to your local club? And do you think that's why there might be more quality back then?
Well, there was a dual registration system back in the day. So you could go play for Blacktown and then their season would finish about halfway through our season, so they'd play earlier. Yeah. Like, we were lucky enough to get Dane Hogan back, and he was one of the best players I've ever seen on the Central Coast. Mm-hmm. His left foot was unbelievable. But he'd play half a season for Blacktown and then come finish the season at Wyoming. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. So that did help with players coming back. Obviously, there was players that went away and went and played, but it was still the fact that they would finish playing probably 25, 26, maybe early 30s, but they'd still then come back and play 5 to 10 years on the Central Coast and still be good. And
I had it at the entrance. We had Terry Dries and Matt Kenny return from Lambton, and they were beyond probably their prime, but they were unbelievable to play with at that age.
100%. And what do they teach you? They teach you how to play football, how to move the ball, and if you're a big enough sponge, you take in everything that they say, and that's what I think is hard about coaching and players this day and age, is the fact that they don't take on as much as what I'd say you and me did when we were younger. And I think we didn't have a choice to take it on when we played.
No, not at all.
And that's
it was sink or swim.
Exactly right. And that's a little bit different to today's players, you know what I mean, and how culture and society's changed. And that's a big wormhole that we could go down if you wanted to, but I don't want to.
Touching more on the competition, like the play points and the payments, was that difficult for you during your time, even at Ourimbah or Wyoming the previous years?
No, like the money wasn't a massive thing when I coach because not many people were getting paid. But you know now who's getting paid. Like I could tell you, majority of people are getting paid. Like if you go back to the start of it, payment, right? So you're going to get something for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Wyoming used to give free rego out to their players.
Yep.
That's a form of payment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where it started. Then you go to the Kalani era under Ackers and, they were successful and they won. When they won, they got 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
That's a form of payment. That's forms of payment. And as much as they'll say, no, it's not, it is, right? And then now the big three clubs, they've taken it to the next level and they're paying players. And the players deserve it. I'm not taking that away from them. But they do, like CCF need to do something to fix it, to level the playing field. That's what CCF need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Alex and the board, they're up here and they get paid. They've got to come up with a solution to fix it.
I think there's one or two ways it can go. It's either go to a semi-professional thing, which Alex has come on and talked about, which sort of raises the rego fees for everyone involved in Central Coast football, which I don't think they're willing to do, or what you think about introducing a salary cap. But then again, third-party payments, is it really going to stop anything?
Well, look, it's a tough one, and I'd hate to be the person to try and fix it because it's going to be hard to fix. But I think you sort of need to take it to semi-professional. Like, if we go to semi-professional, let me ask you, would you come back and play? If you could get paid to be on the Central Coast, would you come back and play?
I went to Newcastle because I wanted to play at a higher level, and that's why I'm up there.
Yeah, but now you're old and your circumstances
Old?
you're old. Your circumstances have changed. Obviously, you got a young fella and stuff like that. If you were offered the money, roughly the same money, would you come back and play on the coast?
It would depend because working for CCF, I feel like it would be a conflict of interest just with my day-to-day job to then come and play first grade with some of the stuff I handle.
Yeah,
obviously play points and things like that. So being up in Newcastle, I don't have to deal with that.
What about players on the coast or players from the coast that are in Newcastle? Do you think they'd come back because they don't have to travel?
I think you'd get a fair majority of them to come back.
So why don't we want to put the best product forward that we can on the Central Coast?
I think if it's going to cost an under fives rego, if it's double or triple, I think that's where the sort of issue lies.
I get that, but then there's also got to be sponsorships and people going out to try and limit how much people need to pay. I think regos are still too high now.
Yeah.
For young kids. And if you look at rugby league and other sports where they're subsidised, how are they getting subsidised? And we've got the most registration. Where's our money going? What's it getting spent on? And why can't we subsidise regos for young kids and make it easier for players to play?
Yeah, well, I feel like that's always been the biggest question is where does our money go? And obviously we break it down in play football. When you register this year, you see where your money goes. I feel like people are quite surprised how much of it actually ends up at the clubs and with the association.
Yeah, and look, that does happen, and I'm not saying it doesn't, but the people up here and the people that have the jobs and the board, we need to come up with a solution to make it more feasible for people to play this sport.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have to pay through the roof to play football on the coast. Football should be reasonable for everyone to play so everyone can enjoy it.
Well, that's it. We are the biggest sport, so
I don't know if that means we need to chase more sponsorship, we need to do something, but yeah, that's something that we need to look at as a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to start to reduce people's rego, not sending it north.
How did you find the play point system? I know you were only with it for 1 year in its inaugural year, but
look, I think it's the point system sort of helps the teams that already have good teams, good players.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and become, let's say, Avoca are probably going to come up this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
For them to go and recruit a few players and stuff like that, if they get a few rep players, they can probably only get 1 or 2 rep players to come into their system.
Yep.
So how does that help them compete against the like of Budgie or Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
who already have set established players who have played reps, and then they can go and add 2 or 3 more rep players because those players from last year don't carry points anymore. Yeah. So how's that fair on a Avoca?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So that's something that needs to be looked at as well.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not doing it. But it's something, we've got to level the playing field, because if you look at the competition now, there's 3 teams running away with it and the rest are just making up numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never been the case in, BPL. Like, there's always been competitive games across the board, and you know, it's really not that this year. If I've gone and watched Budgie play Southern, and the quality out on that field's unbelievable. But then you go watch Southern play Ourimbah, the gap's just too big.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a way to level the playing field, and I don't know how they do it, but they've got to come up with a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's we'll see how that goes.
Now, you're also someone who, as long as I've sort of remembered, has talked about wanting more games to be played at Plume Park. Once again, it's sort of clubs, I don't think, want that from a revenue standpoint, but what difference does it make coming out to Plume Park and being able to play on this surface for the league?
You just trust your passes, and you trust a proper bounce. You know it's going to go there. It's not going to deviate like Shane Warne's leg spin bowl. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference. And when you see, you know, Lepre get a ball on Plume Park compared to Lepre get a ball at James Brown Oval, that's a sandpit.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks volumes, because what he's going to do with that ball is going to be 10 times better here than what he's going to do at James Brown Oval. And then you go to Budgie Boy, like, that's a different kettle of fish. Their field's really good anyway.
Yep.
But, you know, it's the same. You play a through ball through to Entwistle, Lennon, Swadling.
Yeah.
You know they're going to get a good touch, and they can play it first time into the middle to get one of their runners who are quick to tap it in instead of having to take 2 or 3 touches to control the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's the different quality, and I don't know how you do it, but we really do need to try and get MPL up here on Plume Park, playing on a good field. Like, I go back to when I coached Wyoming. We played Avoca, and we were both down the bottom or mid-table. I think CCU were playing. I think you were still with CCU at the time. You were on the main field.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone left that game and came and watched us play because the game was 6-5.
Yeah.
And I still think Nighty scored one of the best goals I've ever seen from the BPL era.
Yeah.
It went top bins from a corner. But you couldn't do that at where they play Erina High.
Yeah, or Fagans.
Or Fagans. You couldn't do that on that field. But that just showed you, like, 2 middle-of-the-table teams playing football.
Yeah.
But it's attractive football that people are good to watch. Like, we were on the wrong side of the result.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went home and thought about it, I was like, what a game.
Yeah.
What a game, and what a product for this league. And I still go back to it, and I think anyone that played in that game will tell you how good it was. But there's still a reluctance from clubs to do it. And I know it's about revenue, and I know it's about that, but they've been saying that for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've coached for 14 years on the coast, and it's still the same answer.
Yeah.
That's got to change soon, and there's got to be a solution to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to make the whole reason why when I transitioned from sort of player into coach was to try and make the game better, to move it on so it's not the same when I finish.
Yep.
I want the game to be in a better position than when it was when I started.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, it's still the same. Like, we're still doing the same thing. Whether or not we try and change it to, you know, the last 5 games of MPL are up here at Plume Park, so they're on nice, level playing surface that everyone can express themselves and we can see good football. And that might mean, you know, the likes of Terrigal who have an old CCU team, but they're all Terrigal juniors, they might go and match it with, you know, a Southern, because they're all obviously good players, but they're on a good surface that they can trust. You go ask any Terrigal player how good Duffy's is, you know what the answer's going to be.
Yeah.
And that's what we're providing at the moment, and that needs to change. And again, I'm not the person to make it change, but I'm just trying to say we need to move the sport forward. And the way we move the sport forward is playing on the best surface. Like, it's the best grass surface in New South Wales. And the only time we see it as local MPL players in this region is semi-finals, really, or midweek catch-up games. Like, this facility was left to Central Coast Football by a person who passed away and left us the ground. Back in the day when you played Coasties first grade, you'd go through hills and dips when you played on the main field. Now it's a flat surface and you barely get on it. So personally, as a player and a coach, I'd love to see more out here.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see better football and you're going to see better goals and you're going to see better quality. We've got to try and get our best footballers on the best surface.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. Like, and I know I'm outspoken and I have an opinion, but that's only to put it on a better facility for the people that are playing. It's not because I want to have my opinion. I want them to have the best chance of playing the best football they can play. And I've said that when I coached Gosford. But the biggest thing that came up, like you said, was revenue.
Yep.
But we've got to come up with a solution on how to make it happen and clubs not lose out on money so we can get the best product out there.
You do want to play on the best surfaces as a player, and it allows you to express yourself. And I feel like it takes all the Pat Morley bobble, which is every field has one basically on the
Yeah, well,
coast.
we played at Pat Morley on the weekend, and there's a bit of bobble out there. But still, like, everyone's got to play on it because that's where we play. Yeah. But I'd much rather see even it be the entrance versus East Gosford at Plume Park on a good field, because you're going to get more out of the players because they're going to be able to trust themselves. And that's what we want to do in football. Like, we don't want them to be on council fields that aren't maintained great. Like, let's be honest, the council mow the fields and then leave.
Yeah.
That's all they do. Like, they're not looking after it. They're not trying to level it out. They're not doing any of that. They don't have the money to do that. So they mow it and leave, which is fine. But that doesn't leave for a great surface to play football on. So it's just something we as a sport need to try and do, like get us up to Plume Park or even at the Tuggerah Sports facility. I know that costs a lot of money to hire, but at least they're level fields, you know what I mean? You can play on a good surface that you can trust, and that's what we need to do for a better product, and that might encourage players to come back as well. Like, we want the best players on the coast to be playing on the coast. I still think if you put some of the best players all in one team and they went up to the NBN, they'd give it a good push.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I'd say they'd give it a good push in MPL 1 or MPL 2 in Sydney. Like, but we're not facilitating that, and that's the sad thing for football on the coast.
We'll take a turn here. Now, we did take to social media to let people know you're coming on, and we got quite a few questions here that the people want answered. The first one being, out of all your time, who's your funniest teammate?
No one's funny that I've played with. No, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
No,
we'd have some good laughs. I'd say Toopy's up there. He's pretty funny.
Yep.
He's got some good one-liners when they come out. So yeah, Toopy.
Do you have a favourite footballing memory?
If I went back to it, it would probably be playing first grade with my brothers. Like, I don't think anybody else has done that, and it was a pretty proud moment for me, especially being, I think, 16 or 17 at the time, and going up against, like I said, the entrance. There was a fully loaded team with Nossie, Pagey, Binny, Kenny. So, and we ended up coming out on top at a rowdy entrance. Mind you, and I was getting called all the names under the sun, which was good fun. But yeah, we got the bickies that day, so I'd say that.
There might be more to this question because the person who sent in probably knows you quite well. But what's your favorite pre-match ritual you've ever had?
Oh, yeah, I don't think I can say that on camera.
I thought that might be the case.
But yeah, no, it was something that we did at Gosford, me and a certain player, and look, we did it because we won a lot of games, but it was weird. And
you can just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Rate your family football ability in highest to lowest. So Tony, Wazza, Neil and Ian.
Look, I think when it comes to ability on the ball, I would say Warren's probably the best out of all of us. Like, I got a lot of my touch and ability was growing up playing with my brother. Like, I juggled a lot because he did.
Yeah.
He's 6 years older than me.
Yeah.
And he would come out, juggle 200, and then he'd turn around and say, come get me when you've got 200. And it'd take me a week and a half, and then I'd get 200, he'd do 250 and say, come get me. So, like, him just setting me those challenges made me better on the ball. So I'd say him, number one. I never saw my dad play, so I can't say my dad, but he was, like, I never saw him play in his prime, but he was good.
Yep.
But just fat when I watched him.
Yeah.
Neil was a runner, but he had a really good left foot. So I'd go myself, second. That'd be Warren, myself, Neil, and then Dad, because I never saw Dad play in his prime.
Best player you've ever played with or best player you've ever coached and why?
Best player I've ever played with. Is that anywhere or just on the coast?
Anywhere. We'll get to local players in a sec.
Okay, so best player I've ever played with, there's two. Tommy Rodgick.
Yep.
I just think just at 15 to do what he did on the world stage against players that were playing professional is just amazing. And then Tony Vidmar.
Yep.
His brain is just unbelievable, and I think he's the 17s coach now for Australia, and they'd be getting a lot of good advice and understanding of the game from him. So yeah, they'd be the top two.
You've only really coached locally. Is there the best player that comes to mind?
Coaching wise, best player. Look, there's a few.
Mm-hmm.
It's
hard to single.
I can't really split a lot of my Gosford team because they were all good players
mm-hmm.
in their own way. So like if I was, I'd say there's probably 4 or 5.
Okay, well, we've got a question here. Top 5 players you've played with or coached locally. So we usually do a 5-a-side. If you want to do a 5-a-side, you can break it down. If you just want to do a top 5, we can just have a top 5.
Okay, so well, look, top 5 I've coached would be Tupi because he's just a winner.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like to lose and he gives you everything. Matty Hall led from the front at Gosford in the midfield. He did a lot of work that was unsung when I coached, which was good. Geordie, brilliant.
Yep.
I coached for East Cairo and he's a freak, unbelievable. And I got him back just after he left a rep team and he came in, his touch, just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And then Louis Bazanik.
Yep.
I think I watched Ollie grow up. I played against Ollie. I think if Louis had Ollie's drive and passion
mm-hmm.
and didn't enjoy going out with his mates, I think Louis could have made it. I think he was just as good as his brother.
Yeah. There's a lot of those stories out there.
100%. Yeah. So they would be the 5 that I coached.
Yeah.
5 that I played with.
Yep. Going all the way back locally to a 15-year-old.
The 2 best defenders that I ever played with were Paula Jones
mm-hmm.
and Trevor Shute. Trevor Shute gave Matt Simons a bath before, I think it was in 2003, 2004 in the East Gosford, Wyoming grand final at the stadium.
Yep.
Trevor Shute gave him a bath.
Right.
He could play and own anyone he played. Doik was as hard as nails.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen any defenders like him. Mark Fowson just would pop into gaps and make runs that I've not seen on the coast in a long time. Like I said, that's back in the 2006, and that's why I said those players were class. And then, what's that? That's 3 players.
Yeah, that's 3. 2 to go.
Then I would say Tupi, he's a winner.
Yep.
He just wins. He just never surrenders in anything that he does. And even if we drew, he'd come in angry, and that's what you want as a coach. You want someone who wants to win all the time and tells you when something's wrong. And he didn't hold back when he needed to tell me, which, I didn't like at the time, but I respect now. And then I'd probably go with probably junior, Matty Hall, because he actually did a lot of work. And when he had 2 knees,
mm-hmm.
he was mobile and good.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have 2 knees anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
Yeah.
So they would be the players that I would look at, you know what I mean? If I had to go with the goalkeeper, I'd go Tommy Coventry. He never let me down.
A former goalkeeper of yours actually sent in a top 5 goalies as well. Now, you've talked a lot about goalies in this, so you probably have 5 to name. So Tommy being one, do you have another 4?
Yeah, look, a lot of them I've watched play. Like Kyle's definitely up there.
Yep.
He'd be my 3rd. My 2nd one would be Andrew Bull.
Mm-hmm.
That man was ferocious, big, strong, and people were scared to go in the box near him, just like Kyle.
Yep.
4, that's a tough one. Who was our keeper at CCU? I didn't mind him.
Jack O'Malley.
Yeah, I didn't mind him. He was decent. He did some weird stuff, but he was okay on the ball and made some big saves in games that mattered for us. And then 5th one, he's probably not known, but he's an old keeper that used to play at East Gosford, and they called him Pistol. I rated him. He was a good goalkeeper,
mm-hmm.
and he did a lot of good things. I just don't think he got the recognition that he wanted to. And I'd say Robbie, that's playing with us this year, he's a very unsung keeper.
Yep.
Who wouldn't look at all out of his class playing a lot higher.
Yep.
So he's a good shot stopper and a good goalkeeper.
Some pretty good lists there.
Yeah.
You play with some good players in your time.
Yeah.
To wrap up, we're going to get you to do some predictions. As someone who's been around NPL for quite a while, we'll get into this round. So Saturday night we have Burka versus Ourimbah. Now, we talked about how that was your last game in charge of Ourimbah. It's going down at Mingara. I think a result for Berkeley Vale does see Ourimbah relegated. How do you see that one playing out?
Look, Berkeley Vale to win, like I was out there training pre-season with them, and I think they have a great team. If they simplify things and play to the league that they're playing in, I think they're a good chance to win the comp.
Do you have a score prediction for this weekend?
3-0.
We also have Saturday night, Umina hosting Budgie down on the peninsula.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think Budgie will win that. Do you want to score 2?
Yeah, I want to score 4 all of them.
Beautiful. 3-0.
I think it was a 2-all contest between them.
Yeah,
last
but
round.
Budgie, they're fighting for minor premiership now because they've slipped up a couple of times. So, you know, if they want to win it, they can't slip up again. So I reckon they're going to be up for it. Unfortunately, Umina really have nothing to play for. They're out of semi-contention, I pretty much think. I think Terrigal would have to lose nearly everything for them to catch them, and they're not going to get relegated. So, you know,
bit of a weird space.
100%. So you're not going to get as much drive out of them. So I'd say Budgie by 3.
And onto Sunday, we have Gosford at Gavenlock against Camwell.
That's a tough one because, you know, Camwell are set up very defensive and try to hit on a counter. And, you know, Gosford are fighting for something. I could probably see it maybe a 1-all.
We got Wyoming and Killarney at the Den at Alan Davo.
Oh, that's a big one for both teams, isn't it?
Yep.
Look, I'm a Wyoming junior, so I've got to back them.
Yep.
Maybe 2-0. And I believe Jude's back from holiday, one of their new signings. So I think he might score one of the goals to get them over the line. And
then the final fixture, we got Terrigal and Southern at Duffy's Oval.
It's a tough one. Both teams have something to fight for.
Yep.
I'm going to go Terrigal because, again, I think they can do something good in the semi-finals if they get on a good field and they can get it right. It's just they've got to get it right. I'll go Terrigal 2-1.
Well, there you have it now. Really thank you and appreciate you coming on, Macca.
Cheers, Bono.
Thanks
Appreciate
for the
it,
chat.
mate. Thanks, buddy.
We have 2 Saturday night fixtures this weekend in our WPL competition, both going down on the peninsula. First, we have Camwell making the trip down south to face the Lionesses at James Brown Oval. Also at 7 p.m, we have Killarney taking on Umina at Umina Oval. A win for Sarah Hudson's side will see Killarney crown the 2026 WPL League champions for a second straight year. Even more remarkably, it will mean Killarney will go back-to-back without losing a single game over this 2-year span. Our match of the round sees East Gosford host Kincumber, 2:45 at Hilton Moore Oval on Sunday. This second v third clash could have huge implications on the 2026 final series as both teams look to make that second spot theirs, guaranteeing them 2 chances at making the grand final. Only 3 points currently separate these 2 sides, so expect an intense meeting between the 2 teams. Final fixture on Sunday sees the entrance welcoming Terrigal to Pat Morley Oval. The visitors will be hoping a 3-point Sunday will see them lock in a place in the 2026 final series, so there's plenty to play for come kickoff. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coast Football Weekly. Please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. As always, we'll catch you next week for another episode.